Marble Madness on the PlayStation 2. This is actually an arcade ROM that's been included as part of the Midway Arcade Treasures PS2 disc. Gonna be playing this game with an analog stick, which was acting up last time I tried to play it. This arcade game was originally a trackball game, like a little white pool ball, a billiard ball, I guess, that was used inside of a housing that would register velocity as you spun it. So it's a form of analog control in an era before analog sticks, which is how I'll be playing this game on a PlayStation 2. So let's make sure this works properly, because last time I tried this, yeah. So now the joystick's working. Okay, I guess it was just poorly calibrated last time I tried to record this footage. So we hold the circle button to go slowly, hold the X button to go more quickly. There is fall damage in this game, so be careful. Don't fall down that canyon. There we go. We're going to try and play this game a couple of times. Apparently there are only 4 levels, I think, in the NES version. There might be only 3 levels in this original arcade game. Look out for the black ball. I'm going to let go of the controller as I roll down these hills so I don't slide over the side. Don't let those things eat your ball. Those green things they'll eat your ball, and they'll also stun you. Whoa! Crap. Expect a lot of that in later levels. Look out for the black ball. Yeah. Okay, I got it. Should have taken the warp. The stick works surprisingly well. I wouldn't recommend it for precision control. This is the hard part. Okay, that was a gravity well. Can I use speed to get through here? I held down square, which I don't think made a difference. The square button doesn't do anything. Okay, so I got past that gravity well. I can barely even see the ball. Heads up. Well, that was not good. Unlimited lives, at least. Whoops! You just lose time respawning your ball. Look out for the acid. Oh, this is terrible. Yeah, the acid's the worst. I can never get past this part. And she granted me a wish for 10 extra seconds. But the acid's always the worst. Well, that was tight. You can ride the wave if you know what you're doing, and I don't. And game's over. If you know what you're doing, you can ride that wave, but I want to say that's a very difficult strategy. I always liked the way this game looked. As far as isometric games go, I guess it's kind of a voxel look. I compared it to Zaxxon back in the day, the old Sega isometric shooter that I always liked. For some reason, I can't select T, which seems inappropriate. Now I got it. And I lost. Okay, I'm going to run out of time. Okay, I don't know why I couldn't select T for so long. We're just going to stick with that. I didn't even get a high score anyway. Yeah, I did way better than I thought. Why was my score so high? But yeah, that's Marble Madness. We'll probably try and get through the game one more time, but you always start from the beginning. So the idea is to go as quickly as you can and carry over your time to the next stage, like in Camel Tree, a game we played on this channel earlier, a long time ago. And we got some HD footage now, so you can get some HD footage of Camel Tree on this channel if you want. I'll try to put up a bunch of HD captures from this component video cable eventually, because I want to get some more HD footage of some of these older games, like this PlayStation 2. I'll try to hook up my PlayStation Portable eventually, like probably this weekend. I'll pull out some of my old discs. I know I have Phantasy Star Portable, but that's a long video, just like Valkyrie Profile is. There is fall damage, but if you fall far, but not if you don't fall a fatal distance, you'll just be temporarily stunned, I think. That was a gravity well. Ugh. Thought I made it past that circle. That was bad. So it's trying to suck me towards that hole on the other side. So I held down the X button to speed through that. So the X button is used to go fast. That's not a lot of time for this level. I think there's 2-player co-op in this game. It's going to be a short fall. Oh! I was hoping to do a controlled fall. What? A lot of that. And we got the acid, which is always a problem. What, no Wish Fairy? So I'm going to lose this level. But again, that's the kind of game this is. It's you got to do one good run. So you don't really get a lot of chance to practice that level. So you don't get a lot of chances to practice these levels once you die, so that's not great. But I'm pretty close to the high score if I don't die as often, I would argue. Because I think you get points for... Yeah, you get 10 points every... I think you get 10 points every, like, quarter of a second. Let me check on something. Because we did the second lowest difficulty levels. What I'll do is I'll crank up the difficulty a little bit just to see if the game gets that much harder. Game options, we can go difficulty 3. 2-player continue. Number of players. Well, there's only 1 for this. Okay. We'll see if it gets appreciably harder. So the game will auto-save in a second. We don't need to go easy mode. I mean, easy mode might increase the amount of time we have, so that might be something. This PS2 is constantly changing. Yeah, it's constantly changing the resolution. We're still 480i, but I want to say, yeah, no interviews. But I want to say it's going to capture everything in 720p, which is good because I want 60 frames a second on this video when YouTube gets it. The picture processing system cost 100K, which is not cheap in 1982 or whatever. Featured a huge tablet with a 12-button digitizing puck. Diagonal lines have to be rendered by hand, which makes sense. Ah, Mark Cerny, the same Cerny who works at Sony on the PlayStation, I believe. Yep, it's the same apparently. Okay, that's it. 2 things to say. Amazing. 2 whole pages. The cover of the cell sheet. Gotta zoom in closer. It's just crappy JPEG. The base unit includes a durable contemporary cabinet designed to accept a modern. Okay, so dip switches, I guess. A pop-in game board and an attraction panel graphics. Okay. Expands. No other conversion system offers these expansive capabilities and features. Over 1 megabyte of program and graphics memory, more than 10 times the capacity of, yeah. So this is an era when 1 megabyte of data. Forget the modern era where 16 gigabytes is of VRAM is what you need to play something. You need like 4 gigabytes of video RAM to play a PC game these days, at least modern ones. And that's like at 720p. If you want 4K, you're gonna need like 16 gigabytes, I would argue. Motorola 6810, 68010, 16-bit, 16-bit power, yeah. Key benefits: long-term software versatility, superior graphics. 58 is that 56 or 58? 56 motion objects, amazing. 256 colors on any one screen. That's about what the Super NES could do with Mode 7, right? Because the Genesis could only do 64 colors on one screen. 336 by 240, 240, well, still interlaced. That's 480i. So that's probably what? That's about what a Genesis is, right? Actually, I think a Genesis might have been 256 on the vertical resolution. I forget. State-of-the-art sound system. All revolutionary music for the time, I would argue. Yeah, this left stick seems to be kind of. This left stick is going crazy. That's not cool. Left stick might be busted. Darn it. I was afraid of that. Yeah, the left stick might be busted. I'm going to have to see if I can recalibrate it. Because there are a lot of other games I'm trying to play now. Let's see. Competitive, two-player simultaneous. Whatever. That's Marble Madness, of course. Stereo music. Not that anyone will be able to hear it in an arcade, if we're being honest. Easy to use dual track balls, one for each player. They don't have a picture of they don't have a picture of that. They can use the right stick to zoom in and out. That's cool. Player controls his marble with a trackball and races against time. Yeah, you can't. It's not scanned properly. It's also diagonal. What the heck is going on with that? Okay, the left stick isn't moving around anymore. Now it's moving around again. Yeah, this thing's got to be recalibrated. It's shucking and driving, unfortunately. Player controls his trackball. Crash or collision causes loss of time to complete the races. 6 different waves. Okay, so it's more than. Oh, and the preceding rules and laws are backwards. It's a break wave. Okay. Completion of this very difficult level ends the game, so it's a lot shorter than. You'll be crazy about the high profits as well. So this game is like Battletoads, only a lot shorter. I mean, it is what it is. Marble Madness has some appeal, but it's ultimately just it's a race. It's a racing game in a way, but it's an interesting isometric platformer where you can't jump. It's technically a platformer, I would argue, but I'm still worried about the fact that it's basic. It's 6 levels, but again, we made it halfway through the game, and it's very short. A playing session probably lasts 3 minutes at most. I mean, if you know what you're, I mean, obviously, if you're able to beat, you can clear this game in less than 5 minutes, I assume. But I think the NES only had 3 levels. They didn't have all 6 of them. But I'm still worried about this controller, about this joystick. Yeah, it's busted again. We'll see if I can compromise. Maybe it might help me win some of these courses. Yeah, the controller's busted again. It's drifting. I literally have controller drift on a PlayStation 2, though. Yeah, I'll see if I can compensate for the drift. That might be fun. Yeah, I think the drift stopped. I don't know why it was happening in the first place, but here we are. Yeah, the drift stopped. I don't know what's going on with this controller. Ow! Stupid. I'm not dead. Dead now. Ow! Ow! You got me. I'm not dead. Not dead. No, now I'm dead. How old is Cerny now? He's got to be in his 50s. Actually, I think he's in his 60s. Still an engineer. Yeah, we're done. Man, the fairy gifted me with some extra time, and a lot of good that did. It threw me off my game. But I think the fairy is random. Not dead! Wow! Made it in one run. There's only 7 seconds left, so I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. And when they're level, and when the rules get reversed on the silly wave, that'll be interesting. Wow, I somehow made it past that. How am I gonna get past the acid though? Ah! Could never get past the freaking. No respawn invincibility, in case you're wondering. Yeah, this acid is just ridiculous. Thank you. Yeah. Still gotta get past all this. Ow! Not gonna happen. Ow! So we can ride the wave. How about we don't ride the wave? Oh, there's no wave on level 3? No, there's the wave. Again, what's the point? I'm not even gonna make it past this part. So that was the third highest difficulty level. So again, stereo sound, but to what end? I can't stop it on B. I'm not even gonna worry about it. It's driving me nuts. Okay, next. It somehow thought I couldn't make it past 2 levels, huh? Okay. Controller's not drifting. I should be able to get past this with 50 seconds to spare anyway. Yeah, about 49 seconds. That's more ideal. If I know what I'm doing, I can get to 55, but it's probably not going to happen in this video. I guess I'll try the hardest difficulty levels for funsies. Out. Bye. So again, a lot of nuance in the controls, but it takes a lot of practice. Careful! Whoa! Whoa! Thought I might have been able to speed run that, but there are some safe falls, I assume. What? You might be able to use that drawbridge to your advantage. What? Careful! 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 I mean, obviously a trackball would be ideal. I want to say the Genesis version came out, and one of the reviewers in Video Games Computer Entertainment, I think it was Chris Byanek over at the magazine, he was reviewing the game. And he said, "You know what? I pulled out my Atari trackball, and it worked perfectly with the Genesis." But that was the point. Is that apparently the was it the Master System and the Genesis had the same controller connection port or the same pin configuration as the Atari 2600, I want to say, or one of the other Atari computers, probably a console. And he pulled out one of his old trackballs, and it worked. He said it wasn't velocity sensitive. Like he said that it doesn't make your ball go any faster when you spin the trackball. But the point was the pin configuration worked, which is the kind of stuff I like to see video game reviewers do. But I can't imagine most of them even back then would have known to try it. But I'm sure some of the gamer nerds knew that back in the day. It's like, hey, would this my Atari joystick work in a Master System? Maybe. Use the same parts. Why not? Of course, I'm playing this PlayStation 2 controller. It would not work on a PS3, but I think a PlayStation 1 controller does work on the PS2. But again, if you want the analog controls, you gotta have this PS2 controller. Don't need a trackpad on this thing, of course. So we'll go highest difficulty. Again, I'm not expecting this to go well. This is basically supposed to be a quickie video. I wanted to get as much old school content as I could because I wanted to get it. I wanted to capture as much HD footage from this PlayStation 2 as I could, even if it's through a component video converter, component to HDMI video converter. But again, this video is technically displaying on my screen in 480i, but it's being upscaled through this converter. It's being upscaled to my computer at 720p. I'm not complaining about that. The J5 Create 4K UHD capture box that I'm using has a pass through, so it's passing the signal in 480i to the TV, which is how I'm playing it now. But the footage is being captured at 720p, which is what I want. Careful. So there's some rescaling going on, but it does the job. Ah! This is the hardest difficulty level. I wonder what the didn't die there somehow. Wonder if the difficulty level determines how quickly the fairy shows up. You gotta get in one run. Maybe 2 runs. Ah! Not gonna make it. You get the idea. You get the idea. It's a very devious trap. So if I make it past this level, I basically hit the top score. So I basically make it on the top score table if I can make it past the first level. That's pretty much what it's about. See, plenty of time. So I'm curious what the difficulty level changes. Like I said, it might determine like the frequency. It might determine how quickly the enemies move. the dice rolls chance that the fairy godmother shows up and gives you extra time, I guess. Maybe on easy mode she always helps you out when you have 15 seconds left. What? Wow! That wasn't much of a fall. Wow, I'm already host. Don't touch him. This game is fine. I give it a solid B plus. I think it's a solid C plus. I think. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not gonna make it because I gotta get past the gravity well in one go. What? I'm not gonna have time to hit it. What? Maybe I do have time. Hashtag blessed. Crap. Circle. So I guess you need the circle button. So if you hold down the circle button, you can avoid the gravitational pull on that well because it sucks you into the hole on the other side of the well. Usually. Obviously, there's probably a more sophisticated way to do it. I just haven't figured it out consistently. That! Or we're not going to win. We already blew too much time. Whoop! Wrong button! That was the wrong button. I was supposed to do the slow button. Yeah, I was trying to use the slow button to get past the acid. That's enough. You get the idea. I know exactly. I'm dying basically in the same area every time. So that's the kind of game this is. It's Battletoads only with less repetition. Because it doesn't take you 20 minutes to get to the turbo tunnel stage where you die. Just like in Battletoads, you die on stage 3 constantly. Of course, there are no continues there are no continues. Avoid delays. Again, I really like the way this game looks. I think the look of the game holds up. It's got a really dope like abstract block style that I really like. Real good use of color, real good use of shading. It's legit. It's one of those 80s games, yeah, 84 like this feels like it's not if this is a game that feels more refined than most arcade games of its era in terms of its visuals. And again, I still think it holds up incredibly well. I mean, it probably helped that Rare and a lot of those British developers were comfortable doing, play the game, but Rare. They were comfortable making 3D isometric games. So by the time we got stuff like Solstice was by Software Creations. By the time we got Software Creations making Solstice and Equinox, Rare was doing Captain Skyhawk, Cobra Triangle, Snake Rattle and Roll, games like that. Looked pretty good. Probably were inspired by games that look like this. Like you can imagine them playing this game and saying, "Yeah, can we make an NES game that moves like this?" And of course, they eventually wound up working on Marble Madness on the NES. Like I said, only half as many stages, but the point was to get it to run at all. If Milton Bradley wasn't cheap, they probably would have gotten They probably would have gotten the larger ROM chips that can fit more stages on here. But then again, I wonder if some of the levels wouldn't even have allowed. I wonder if some of the levels wouldn't even have worked on the NES. But this feels like a game that would run on Famicom hardware, right? It feels like it. Because ultimately we got Marble Madness, so it looks like a game that seemed pretty faithful on the NES. Haven't played it. But this game is a C plus at best. It's too short for what it is. It's too punishing. But I do like having unlimited lives. Just a matter of going as fast as you can so that when you die, you aren't losing too much progress. And if you die with a good spawn, you can usually save yourself some grief. So I recorded this with my Plantronics USB-A headset, plugged into the quad-core Celeron Windows 10 education laptop using the camera app to capture this footage at 720p at 60 frames a second. The PlayStation 2 console is using component video out, the YCBCR or whatever, with the red, blue, and green cables plugged into my SIG HDMI converter. That HDMI signal is plugged into my J5 Create 4K UHD capture device. Passed through to the television at 480i. being captured onto the laptop at in 720p, of course. Yep, Mark Cerny. Got to start from the beginning. Let me check out the resolution on the main menu before I leave. So I think what happens is that every time I launch a game, they do a resolution check because maybe some of these games are in 480. Maybe some of these games are in 240p or something. But I want to say every game in this collection is 480i, unless they got something else going on with the emulator. And I keep mentioning that I'm gonna watch Running Man for the first time, so I can play Smash TV and put it in some context. Because the game's actually kind of boring, and I wouldn't want to play it for very long. We'll see how it goes.